Hey everyone, ready to talk about laziness?
We all struggle with it sometimes.
Totally. But what if we could learn from a culture like known for being super disciplined and efficient?
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Yeah, we found this piece on 6 Japanese techniques for a more focused and productive life.
I mean, who couldn't use a little more of that these days, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's not about becoming like robots or anything. It's more about finding a mindful way to work and be, well, even finding your ikigai.
Ikigai.
Yeah, it's all about finding your reason for being. Kind of deep, right?
I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Okay, so the cool thing is these techniques aren't about like some crazy overnight transformation. They're more about those small habits that add up over time.
That makes way more sense than trying to change everything at once. I can get behind that.
Totally. So technique number 1, Kaizen. Heard of it?
Hmm, maybe. Refresh my memory.
Okay, so Kaizen basically means change for the better. And it's all about making tiny, manageable improvements. Instead of trying to change everything at once, you just focus on one small thing at a time.
I like that. Sounds less overwhelming.
Right. So instead of saying, I'm going to meditate for an hour every day, which, let's be honest, who does that? You could start with, like, 5 minutes.
That even I could do.
Exactly. Or, like, instead of trying to read that massive book on your shelf, you just read a chapter a day.
Totally. Make it so easy you can't say no. That's how you build momentum, right?
Exactly. But, okay, real talk, doesn't focusing on tiny steps make it take, like, forever to see results?
It's all about the consistency. Those small wins add up over time. Think about it, even just improving 1% each day. That compounds like crazy.
Yeah. Plus, you get those little wins to keep you going.
Right. Okay, but is this like just a self-help thing? Or has it actually been proven to work?
It's actually more than just like a feel-good idea. Toyota, for example, they use Kaizen in their factories.
No way.
Yeah.
Like the car company.
Yep. It's a big part of why they're so successful.
Huh. So it's not just for personal stuff. That's cool.
Totally. So for us regular folks, how can we use Kaizen to, say, finally tackle that pile of laundry?
Okay, think of the smallest action you can do, like today. Maybe it's sorting through one pile or spending like 15 minutes brainstorming that project you keep putting off.
I love that. Break it down into those tiny pieces. That's the key.
It's way less scary that way.
All right, so that's Kaizen. Up next, Ikigai.
Sounds very zen.
It is. It comes from Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, like where all those people live to be like 100.
Exactly. And Ikigai is thought to be one reason why. It's all about finding your reason for being, your purpose.
So like what gets you out of bed in the morning?
Kinda. You find your Ikigai at the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for.
Whoa, hold on. That's a lot to juggle.
I know, right? It's like finding that sweet spot where your passion, talent, meaning, and, making a living all come together.
Okay, so the article gave this example of a woodworker. They love making furniture, they're amazing at it, people want to buy it, and they can support themselves.
Boom. Ikigai in action. They're not dreading Monday morning.
Definitely not. So how does this all tie back to, like, not being lazy?
Well, if you have a reason to get out of bed, it's easier to beat procrastination. Ikigai is like super motivating.
Makes sense. It's like having a compass pointing you in the right direction.
Totally.
Okay.
Question for everyone listening. What are you good at? What are you passionate about? What do you want to give back to the world?
Big questions, but super important to think about.
Totally. Okay, ready to dive into the next technique?
Hit me with it.
This one's called the 5S method. It's all about organization.
Ooh, my desk to use some of that.
Mine too. So the 5S's are actually 5 Japanese words, all starting with S.
Wait, are we going to have to learn Japanese now?
Don't worry, it's easier than it sounds. The first S is seri, which means to sort. Basically declutter.
Okay, I'm following so far. Get rid of the junk.
Exactly. Then there's Satan, which means set in order. It's all about organizing the things you do need so everything has its place.
So like a place for everything and everything in its place.
Exactly. Then we have say so, which means shine. Keep your workspace clean.
But what about that, creative mess?
Oh, believe me, I get it. But even if you're not like a neat freak, having a clean space can really help you focus.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Less distractions, right?
Right. Okay, what about those last 2 S's?
All right, so Seketsu means standardize. It's about creating routines to keep up the first 3 S's. So it's not just a one-time cleanup. It's making it a habit.
Got it. And the last one.
Shitsuke, which means sustain. This is all about discipline,
Right.
making those 5S practices like a long-term thing.
So it's about creating systems that work for you and sticking with them.
Exactly. And the article made this interesting point. It's not just about like physical clutter. Think about your computer, your phone.
Oh my gosh, yes. The digital clutter, all those tabs, notifications.
It can be just as distracting.
Totally. Okay, I'm already feeling inspired to like tackle my inbox, but let's move on. What's next?
Okay, now this one is all about mindful consumption, and it starts with food.
Ooh, I'm listening. Tell me more.
It's called Hara Hachibu, and it's a practice from Okinawa where, get this, they only eat until they're about 80% full.
Wait, but what about finishing everything on your plate?
That's the thing, they don't. And I bet it plays a role in how long they live.
Yeah, makes sense. But how does this help with like not being lazy?
Think about it. When you eat too much, your body spends all its energy on digestion.
And that makes you sleepy and sluggish.
Exactly. And then you're way more likely to procrastinate and, well, be lazy.
So it's not just what we eat, but how much we eat. That's interesting. Any tips on how to actually do this?
The article suggests slowing down while you eat. Really savor each bite.
Okay, that makes sense. And put your fork down between bites. I'm definitely a fast eater, especially when I'm stressed.
Me too. But what's really fascinating is that this harahachibu idea, it can be applied to more than just food.
Really? Like what?
Think about how you spend your time. Are you constantly overcommitting, saying yes to everything?
Oh my gosh, that's me. I always feel like I need to be doing more, more, more. But it burns me out. And then, yeah, I end up feeling lazy.
Exactly. That's overconsumption of your time and energy.
Wow. I never thought about it that way. So how do we find that balance?
It starts with being aware of it. Then it's about setting boundaries, learning to say no.
So being mindful of our limits
Hmm.
with everything, not just food.
Exactly.
Right.
Find that pace where you can thrive without burning out.
Harahachibu for life. Okay, what's the next technique we've got?
This one actually builds on that idea of mindful consumption. It's called matenai.
Matenai. What's that?
It basically means what a waste. It's about appreciating resources and like really hating wastefulness.
So using what you have wisely, whether it's time, energy, possessions.
Exactly. And when you think about it, laziness is often tied to wasted time.
Yeah, true. Scrolling through social media, binge watching shows you don't even like.
All that wasted time could be used for something way more meaningful.
Ouch. That hit a little close to home. But you're right, matene is like a shift in perspective.
It really is. Like the article said, what if you took those 30 minutes you spend scrolling every day and learned a new language?
Okay, I need to rethink my priorities. But how do we put matene into action?
It's a mindset. It's about making conscious choices to reduce waste in everything you do.
So little things like turning off lights, using reusable bags.
Exactly. Those small choices add up.
I love that. It's about respecting what we have and using it wisely. Okay, matane is going on my fridge as a reminder. What's the last technique?
This is one of my favorites. Shokunin.
Shokunen. Okay, I'm intrigued. How does this help with being less lazy?
Shokunin is about having deep respect for what you do, for your craft, and always striving for mastery, no matter what the task is.
So even if you don't have, like, the most exciting job, you can still approach it with excellence.
Exactly. And when you have that purpose, you're way less likely to feel lazy and unmotivated.
Makes sense. Can you give me an example?
Imagine a barista who takes so much pride in making the perfect cup of coffee.
They're not just going through the motions, they're making it an art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that makes their work more meaningful and enjoyable, even though it might seem simple to some people.
So how can we, non-baristas cultivate that shokunin spirit?
It's about asking yourself, how can I do this better? How can I make this the best it can be?
So bringing intention to everything we do, even chores.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how motivating that can be.
Okay, shokunin it is. All right, so we've covered a lot. Kaizen, Ikigai, the 5S method, Hara Hachibu, Matanai, and Shokunin.
Wow, that's a lot of Japanese wisdom.
It is, and it's all about finding ways to be more disciplined, efficient, and fulfilled in our lives.
And it's not about being perfect or like following some rigid set of rules.
It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly. And remember, it's not all about willpower.
The article had this great quote. Hang on, it said, Verimlik, kendenize digel, systemenize guvenmekla mumkunder. Which means, like, efficiency comes from trusting the system, not just willpower.
I love that. It's about setting ourselves up for success.
Okay, so for everyone listening, which of these techniques resonated with you the most?
What sparked an idea for you?
And most importantly, what's one small step you can take, like right now, to start incorporating it into your life?
Remember, it doesn't have to be huge, just one small change to get started.
Exactly. These techniques are all about consistency and building those small wins over time.
And remember that proverb we talked about.
Uh-huh.
Sabula yurien yorulmaz.
Which means,
He who walks patiently does not tire.
I love that. Progress takes time and effort. Be patient with yourself and celebrate those small wins.
Exactly. Keep going, one step at a time.
And that's how you conquer laziness and create a life that's both productive and fulfilling. Until next time, everyone.
Okay, so next up we've got a technique that might surprise you. It's all about mindful consumption.
Mindful consumption. Okay, I'm listening.
It starts with food.
Food. Okay, now you got my attention.
It's called hara-hachi-bu.
Hara-hachi-bu. Say that 5 times fast.
I know, right? It's a practice from Okinawa. Remember where we talked about all those people who live to be over 100?
Oh, right. What do they do?
Well, they eat until they're about 80% full. So no stuffing themselves. They stop when they're satisfied, not totally full.
So, like, leaving some food on your plate? Is that what they're saying?
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it probably plays a role in why they live such long and healthy lives.
Yeah, overeating definitely doesn't do your body any favors. But how does this tie into being less lazy?
Well, when you eat too much, your body has to work extra hard to digest all that food.
That's true. I always feel super sluggish after a big meal.
Right. And that can really drain your energy and make you feel lethargic.
And when you have no energy, it's way easier to just like veg out on the couch and do nothing.
Exactly. So it's not just about what we eat, but how much we eat.
Makes sense. Any tips on how to actually like put this hara-hachi-bu thing into practice?
The article had some good ones. First, try to slow down when you're eating.
Okay, slow down. Got it.
Yeah, really savor each bite, And try putting your fork down between bites. That can help you be more mindful of your fullness cues.
That's a good tip. I definitely inhale my food sometimes, especially when I'm like stressed or in a rush.
Oh, me too. But here's what's really interesting. This whole hara-hachi-bu idea, it can actually be applied to more than just food.
Wait, really? Like what?
Well, think about it this way. We can overconsume in other areas of our lives too, not just with food.
I've never thought about it like that.
It's true. Like how you spend your time, for example. Do you ever find yourself saying yes to too many things? Taking on more than you can handle?
Ugh, yes. All the time. I always feel like I need to be doing more, helping more, achieving more. It's exhausting.
And that's a form of overconsumption. Overconsumption of your time and energy.
Wow, okay, I'm starting to see what you mean. So how do we find that sweet spot where we're being productive but not like burning ourselves out?
Well, the first step is awareness. Just
Yeah.
recognizing those patterns where you tend to overcommit or take on too much.
Okay, so noticing those patterns. Got it.
Then it's about setting boundaries, learning to say no, and prioritizing what really matters to you.
So basically practicing hara-hachi-bu with our time and energy too.
Exactly. It's about finding a pace that's sustainable and allows you to thrive without feeling constantly depleted.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about small steps, finding our purpose, decluttering, and mindful consumption. What's next on our list of Japanese secrets to a more productive life?
This next technique really complements hara-hachi-bu, and it's called matinai.
Matenai. Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me.
So matinai is a Japanese term that basically means what a waste. It reflects a deep appreciation for resources and a strong dislike of wastefulness.
So like being resourceful and not being wasteful, right? But how does that help us be less lazy?
Well, think about it this way. When we're lazy, we often end up wasting a lot of time and energy, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Think about all those times you've scrolled through social media for hours or binge-watched shows you didn't even enjoy or put off important tasks.
Ugh, I'm definitely guilty of all of those. But what are we supposed to do about it?
That's where matinee comes in. It's about recognizing that our time and energy are precious resources that shouldn't be squandered. The article had this great example. Imagine you spend 30 minutes every day scrolling through social media.
Okay, I can relate to that.
Well, that's 30 minutes you could have spent learning a new skill, exercising, or connecting with loved ones.
Okay, I'm starting to see your point. It's like a mindset shift. Instead of wasting time, we could be using it for something so much more meaningful.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be about making huge changes. Even small things can make a difference.
Like what?
Turning off lights when you leave a room, using a reusable water bottle, repairing clothes instead of throwing them away. All of those little things embody the spirit of Montagne.
It's all about being mindful and making conscious choices in our everyday lives.
Exactly. It's a way of life that benefits not just us, but the planet as well.
Okay, I'm sold. Matene it is. What's the final technique we're exploring today?
This one is called Shokunin.
Shokunin. Okay, break it down for me. How does this one tie into everything we've been talking about?
Shokunin is all about having a deep respect for your craft and striving for mastery in whatever you do.
So, like, being really good at what you do, even if it's not, like, a glamorous job?
Exactly. It's about taking pride in your work and always trying to do your absolute best, no matter how small or insignificant the task might seem.
I can see how that would help with laziness. If you have that sense of purpose and pride in your work, you're less likely to just phone it in, right?
Exactly. When we lack purpose in our work, it's easy to feel unmotivated and disengaged, which can lead to procrastination and laziness.
So instead of just going through the motions, we should try to approach our work with a sense of craftsmanship.
Precisely. The article used this example of a barista who makes incredible latte art. They're not just making coffee, they're creating something beautiful and unique.
I get it. They're elevating what could be seen as a mundane task into an art form.
Exactly. And I bet that makes their job much more enjoyable and rewarding.
So for those of us who aren't like master baristas or artists, how can we cultivate that shokunin spirit?
It's about asking yourself, how can I do this better? How can I elevate this task and make it a reflection of my best effort?
So even if we're not doing something inherently exciting, we can still find ways to bring intention and excellence to our work.
Exactly. And that mindset shift can be incredibly motivating.
I like it. Okay, so we've explored 6 incredible techniques from Japanese culture: Kaizen, Ikigai, the 5S method, Hara Hachibu, Matanai, and Shokunin. That's a lot to unpack.
It is. But they all share this common thread of mindfulness, intentionality, and finding ways to live a more fulfilling and productive life. It's about finding those little things we can do consistently that, over time, can lead to big changes.
Exactly, little by little.
And, another thing is realizing that it's not just about willpower,
Oh, yeah.
discipline, and efficiency. It's about setting up systems that actually help us.
That makes sense.
Like the article said, vermoeilijk, kedenize dili, systemenize gewenmekkel munkundur, which basically means efficiency comes from trusting the system, not just willpower.
I love that. So it's not about being superhuman. It's about creating habits that work for you.
Exactly.
So we've got these 6 techniques: Kaizen, Ikigai, the 5S method, Hara Hachibu, Matanai, Shokunin. A lot to think about.
A lot of great ideas, right?
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, which one really stood out to you?
What got you thinking?
Yeah. And what's one small step you can take, like right now, to try it out?
Remember, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Just start small.
Totally. It's all about consistency and those little wins,
And don't forget that proverb we talked about. Sabirla yurian yoromas.
which
He
means
who walks patiently does not tire.
so good. It takes time and effort. Be patient with yourself and enjoy those little victories.
Keep going, one step at a time.
You got it. And that's how you conquer laziness and create a life that's both productive and fulfilling. See you next time.